Hello and good morning. Welcome to the Habit Architect. I'm Michael Cups, your host as usual. I have a great conversation today with a founder and a co-founder of a company that we're going to talk about how your habits intersect with your work life and how you manage that with AI dumping all this opportunity on us. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we do, I wanted to mention, first off, do ask questions, drop something in the chat, like us and favorite us and all that on your favorite podcast channel, wherever you get your podcast. But also, the interesting thing about our guest today, she was introduced to us by Jessica, who was a guest on the show recently. And Jessica was a guest on the show being introduced from Leslie Greenwood, who was a guest on the show I think it was last year sometime. But my point is just the habit of networking and the habit of just being in a community is really exciting. And I just encourage you, if you're stuck in your business or you're stuck in your personal life, do reach out to people, and you never know how you might meet somebody because they know somebody, and it's just an interesting network effect. And we sometimes forget that when we stare at screens all day. So just the habit of networking. I just wanted to throw that out there as we start. Now let's get on to our what we're going to talk about today. So Jill Randell is the COO and co-founder of Fuse.ai. Fuse.is. My bad. And she's going to tell us a little bit about that solution in a moment. But what's really exciting about it is how she is putting AI into a marketing world, and a marketing world that has a lot of chaos sometimes, but they also have a lot of opportunity, and they're always looking for the best opportunity. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can kind of use their tool and think about the way you work to get better outcomes. So we're really excited about that. Jill go ahead and bring Jill on if you would. Jill is an expert in marketing. She's worked with Google, helping agencies grow, and now she's helping any small business or medium-sized business grow. So Floor, if we could bring Jill to the forefront here. There we go. Hello, Jill. How are you?
Hello. Doing great. How are you?
Very good. I'm excited about today. And I don't know if you could hear that story, but I really love the fact that we're interconnected in so many ways. It drew my attention back to that, was it 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon or something like that?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yes. No, I love it. It is really such a small world. And Jessica, she's a dear friend. Known her for many years, and she's just really built an impressive company. And we were connecting just kind of founder to founder and sharing, challenges and sharing kind of what's working for us. And she mentioned your podcast. She's like, oh my gosh, you guys should definitely meet and connect. And here we are today. And so, exactly. No, it's fantastic to be here.
It's awesome. So exciting to meet you and more about your business. So why don't you start there? Why don't we tell us a little bit about Jill and then Fuse.ai? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So I will start. Yeah. So and again, thank you so much for having me. I'm the co-founder and COO of Fuse, and that is Fuse, Fuse, and our website is fuse.is. Fuse.is. And we help marketers understand their data holistically across all marketing channels. So we help you find performance improvements instantly, create strategies and recommendations for what to do next. We can also visualize these insights into beautiful charts and graphs that will help you communicate that performance and recommendations to your clients or internal stakeholders. And so my background, you mentioned, I did spend almost 14 years at Google, working primarily in a strategic partnerships role, throughout the sales organizations. And I actually started out back when Google was about 400 people. So wow. We were just a small team and really got to experience some incredible growth there. And originally was on Sheryl Sandberg's team, realized kind of the importance of agencies in the ecosystem. And that kind of prompted my move to New York. So I'm based in New York City, right in the heart of Manhattan. And, we helped start the first agency partnerships team at Google. So I always had a role that involved working with brands and clients and helping them grow their business and helping them make sense of all of the different data points. Yeah. Google's always been very focused on data and what it means. And so I personally have felt the challenges and struggle of trying to make sense of the data. Yeah. And my last role, my most recent role before Fuse, was actually on the agency side, where I worked for a boutique performance agency started by ex-Googlers and managed by fantastic ex-Google team. And again, we still struggled with finding those performance insights quickly. What are the actions that we can take to make an impact immediately? Because everything is all about, making decisions, the right decisions fast. So again, this is very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
And then the last mile problem is really the visual. How do we communicate these results? How do we visualize it? And I personally dislike PowerPoint or creating slides. It's not a strength of mine personally. And so if we can kind of combine that into
Yeah.
a product that provides that solution, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and you just covered a lot of ground that would indicate, what we are all feeling with AI. AI is making the way we work different, and particularly in marketing. When I think about marketing, because I did it for a little while. Most of my background's in sales, but when I ran marketing, the sources of data are everywhere. The time you have to make measurable impact is quick. You've got a short compression of decision window to make the best decisions, right? But the reality is, when I was doing it at a mid-sized company, there were so many tools, and there was so much sprawl of what you had to have an expert in this and Google Analytics, and you had this, and it's just getting the information was challenging, much less make the right decision, right? So, and it sounds like Fuse is doing, number one, making sure that the data is there, and then we'll talk about how you kind of interact with that data in a minute. But I mean, that seems tricky. So how did you solve that problem?
Yeah, no, that's great. No, we have some very brilliant engineers. So shout out to our engineering team. Yeah, I mean, the advancement with AI and technology has allowed us to build this product. And one of the big advantages is being AI native in that sense, where we're not dealing with legacy tech. And so we were able to build it from the ground up. And the way that we approach it that's very different, is building the product so that it pulls out that data live. So we are real time pulling it out live every single time that you go to use Fuse. And that solves for the challenge with dashboards. So a lot of marketers are used to, dashboards, which have served their purpose over the years, but they're static and you can't change them. They break. It's not always live, up to date data, which is a problem if you need to make decisions based off of that data.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so critical. And I think people maybe got used to working with delayed data, right? But now that as they learn new habits in work, I mean, that data is instantaneous, or should be instantaneous, to help you make a decision. So let's talk about that. So the data is important. So, and it's there, and you guys have taken care of that. The good news is, as a marketer, you don't really have to worry about it. It's there, and it's going to be there when you ask the question. But now what you're doing is you're teaching marketers how to, number one, digest data differently, and then two, act on it. So tell us about how a marketer interacts, and then let's get into some of the particulars.
Sure. Yeah. So another I think fascinating solution to what we build is that, again, like a lot of companies have to rely on tech teams or data people with that skill set who can build everything out. And because you don't need a tech team, our product is very turnkey. You just plug in and you're onboarded in seconds. And so that means that it allows everyone to, from the CMO level down to the data analyst or the marketing strategist, to ask questions from that data. So we connect everything holistically. And we've also programmed in those calculations that an analyst typically would need to download all the spreadsheets and then, crank out all the formulas and do all of the number crunching, clean the data, all of that. So it brings access to everyone in the organization who has a question around the impact of this data. And so just making that a seamless experience, it's really been a game changer.
Yeah. And then, so is I mean, I don't know if I'm asking you this the right way, but do most marketers know what questions to ask?
You hit the nail on the head. So some do, absolutely. The people who are pulling and building these reports and are experts in their specific area know exactly what questions to ask.
Yeah.
There are others who are either newer to the marketing world, so they're kind of more junior. They don't have that skill set built in yet. So they need a little bit of guidance. They need a little bit of help in terms of where to start.
Yeah.
And then the other, if you're a CEO, wearing multiple hats, you're not a marketing expert, you might also need a little bit of guidance in terms of where do I start? What's a good question? And so then that's where also our team, we help you, we guide you through that to help build that habit, build that muscle memory so that you can see and experience the full power of what our product can do.
That's great. So that onboarding is not necessarily about the technical aspect of it, because that's instantaneous. It's about how to interact with the system, how to I'll say communicate. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
interesting, because I think there's, when Gen AI first started, there was a bunch of people saying you need to become a prompt engineer and da 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 da. And I don't hear that as much now, but it's becoming part of our daily work. So how to, I think I go back to you wait for that dashboard to show you something and then you act, but now you're going to it and saying, and there was a question, by the way, I didn't catch the name of who asked it. I think Carrie, but she said, can you ask it a question between paid and organic
Oh,
search? Stuff like
100%. That's kind of the brilliance behind it. Yes, there's a lot of synergies between paid and organic, and because we have that holistic view, our product is able to pull in the relevant pieces of data and the metrics that help you answer those questions. So
yeah.
yes,
Can
absolutely.
you walk us through that? So let's say, would the question be as simple as, can you tell me the difference between our paid and organic posts for this past week, or is that too specific?
You could start there. A lot of times, we encourage like a week over week question, such
Ah,
as so going back to the building of the habits. So we
yeah.
encourage our clients to actually get into the habit every Monday morning of
Okay.
asking, tell me what are the three key trends around my performance, week over week,
Right. Yeah.
just to kind of get a sense of any major changes, good or bad, and then where where do I need to focus my efforts from an optimization standpoint? So building that habit every Monday morning, and I'll use a real live example where we heard a story from one of our advisors who was working with an agency who shall remain nameless, and they didn't have a habit in place of checking every Monday. And so what happened was, for those of you familiar with Google Ads, if you make a change to your ad creatives, sometimes it gets flagged from a policy perspective because there could be, I don't know, a trademark term or something
Right.
against the overall policy, and that just stops your campaigns from running. They didn't have a habit in place, and they didn't
Yeah.
have the check in place, and so their accounts went dark, and so that's
Yeah.
obviously very bad. So with
Yeah.
Fuse, at the time they were not a client, so if they had Fuse in place, we would have caught that immediately. So
Right.
just building that habit is incredibly important for a variety of
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah. And that's a great story too. And it talks about how it's Fuse in that case is almost your client compliance partner too, in addition to other things, right?
Yeah, it's your I mean, it's your
Yeah.
coworker who's
Yeah.
your strategist partner. I know there's a lot of fear. You hear the press likes to talk about the fear of AI, and
Yeah.
I will say our current clients they don't have that fear. They understand they need to embrace AI,
Yeah.
and they don't think that it's going to replace them, because it's not.
Yeah.
Like it's going to help them do their jobs better, and that's the solution that we provide.
Yeah, and that's what I think. There is a lot of fear, and don't want to diminish that fear, but
Sure.
I mean, AI can be a force multiplier for an individual and a team, right? Because it can give you so much extra step. I guess is the way I'm like. If you got to get from here to there, it's going to help you take a few steps because you're not bogged down in some of the minutia of doing the research or connecting the data or downloading data into a spreadsheet and doing all that stuff. I mean, that stuff isn't value add. It is in the sense of value add, but if you can get that done for you, then you're focused on the creative. You're focused on the channels that matter. You're focused on talking to your customers or your sales team to understand the environment more. And that's where human interaction really helps,
That's exactly
in my
right.
opinion. Anyway,
No,
so
no, that's
so
exactly right.
yeah, and I know that wasn't a question, but so do you still hit hesitancy though from like somebody that's been in marketing for a while and they have their routine down? I need to download the Google Analytics and I need to get the Meta Analytics and then I put it in this and then I make decisions. Do you still run into that?
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
we do, in the sense that people are skeptical by nature. I think, again, the clients that we've spoken with and, they tell us, oh, wow, this sounds amazing, but I've worked with all these other tools and they've overpromised and underdelivered. So
Yeah.
coming into it, yes, there is a healthy skepticism, I think, as there should be.
Yeah.
But as they try it out, and again, it's super fast and easy to set up, you can instantly see in front of, like, magic in front of your eyes, the data pulls
Yeah.
live, and then there's all of the insights. And then, of course, the first thing they do is check it. And so they
Yeah.
go and they check, and then they come back and they're like, wow, that was so accurate. I cannot believe how accurate and consistent these results are, because again, we've built it in a way that removes the hallucination aspect.
Yeah.
So it's, consistently accurate, which is the most important.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Jill. Flora, if you're backstage, there we go.
There we go.
We lost you
What
for a
happened?
second.
I think maybe
Cut
my
off.
cut out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes huge sense. And I'm glad to hear the customer stories. Do you have a customer that was just so wowed they go out and tell their friend, like your biggest champion out there?
Yeah, actually, yes. We had one of our clients who was, again, just, to me, like, the most rewarding thing is when a client comes back, and this happened. They said, thank you for, they sent us a chat through our support chat thread, and they said, thank you for building this. This is going to help so many marketers. Thank you for building this. It made my day, week, month, quarter. Like, it was so great
That's
to hear
awesome.
that. And they went and told their friend, who then
Yeah.
became a huge client of ours. So
Wow.
having that referral network in place is,
Yeah.
that's gold for any company.
Yeah. That they had that moment right there. They just saw that their work was changing, so they wanted to tell people about
That's
it.
right.
What just out of curiosity, I mean, it wasn't a question I was thinking about asking, but what is there an ideal customer in your world? Is it small, medium, big, any and all?
Yeah, great question. So our ideal customer is anybody who manages performance media or digital media and struggles with this. And that can be a, medium-sized business, a small business, an enterprise client. And
Right.
we say that we are making this type of conversational analytics accessible to all. And so, but what I mean by that is, we don't lock you into a big, enterprise level, deal where you don't, that's not something that you can necessarily afford if you're a mid-sized company.
Yeah.
And so we offer solutions at various price points that allow you to kind of grow with us, and we
Yeah.
don't sell you into something more than what you need. So,
Right.
the
Yeah.
accessibility is really key to what we offer.
Yeah, and that is key for all of us. I think with AI adoption, you read all the SaaS is dying, and I don't necessarily buy into that, but I do think the model is changing where people now can be a consumption-based model, right? How much they
Absolutely.
need as opposed to everything. That's awesome. That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
And there's one other point I do want to highlight, is that we have a solution that exists today that is the SaaS model and subscription based, and it's usage based. And it's not per seat, it's per company. So our customers, that's really resonated with them. From an enterprise level solution, though, we do offer a lot of customization, because a lot of enterprise organizations are building their own. They have their own technology, and we have the ability to license our MCP and license our technology
Yeah.
to complement what they're doing. So we're flexible in that manner as well.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about adoption. Under that one client that you talked about that had the wow factor,
Yeah.
that's good. But how do they get consistent with it? Is it that they're asking the same questions on a routine basis to get reports, but then they're asking challenging questions to try to go further?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. The
Okay.
first thing, and I am fascinated by this whole adoption aspect, because I do think it's really important to approach AI and tools thoughtfully. If you think back to, there was, I think it was last quarter, there was a report from MIT research study that came out, and
Yeah.
the ROI on AI adoption tools was very flat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's, it starts from the top. Leadership needs to be thoughtful about their approach, be very
Yeah.
intentional with an assessment of needs, okay,
Yeah.
here are the, top areas that I can immediately improve performance or efficiency or growth, and
Right.
identifying that, followed by the test and learn. A lot of companies know they need to test and have those innovation mindset built in. But then the last step, which I think is what we're seeing today, which is the adoption piece. And so making sure leadership communicates down to the entire organization. Here's why we're doing this. Here's how to
Yeah.
use this. Here are the results that we're expecting, or here are the benchmarks and the milestones that we need to hit. And I
Yeah.
think starting with that mindset, so that level sets with everybody in the organization, that's
Yeah.
where we're going to see the results that we need. And so the next time they run that study, you're going to see a positive ROI on that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a pretty interesting AI community here in Dallas where I live, and there's a conference that gets put on every year, and it's growing amazingly. It's called Convergence AI. And the first year I went, people were just talking about AI. The second year I went, they were talking about, and it was big companies mostly talking about what they were doing, and they were just rolling out Gen AI as this kind of tool to see how people used it.
Mm,
And I was sitting there thinking, that's going to fail, because you're asking, in their case, they're a big airline, so they've got thousands of people. They have no guard. So they don't, some won't know how to use it. Some don't want to use it, and others are going to try to use it in all kinds of ways. And so how do you measure that as success? And you just nailed it.
yeah.
And this year, I think when I go this year, there's going to be very distinct. What we found was a process that was broken, or a challenge that they were faced, and we put AI in there and it made it better, and that's exactly what you've done with Fuse is you know what the process is, and then where can we make it more efficient, and where can we get you different outcomes is what you're looking at. I think that MIT study is right, but I think it was more about the approach than it was the tech. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Because yeah,
yeah.
the tech, you can have the best tech in the world, but if people don't have that habit of using it or understand how to use it in the best way,
Oh, why? Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
going to use it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, I'm excited because I do like the practical application you've built there. Do you see that? Do you see people that maybe you've got a story of somebody with reluctant user, and now they have come completely turned around and say, "We're going to use this every day."
ooh. Oh gosh. Yeah. I wasn't prepared for that question.
Right.
Going back, within the marketing world, again, I think the most skeptical people are the data analysts, the ones who are in the weeds. They've tried out these tools over the last, 5-10 years, and they've been burned in the past. So
Yeah.
I think winning over people like that, to me, is like the most meaningful. Everyone loves a challenge, and so to
Yep.
to win, there was one. I'm thinking of kind of a smaller consultancy, and he's seen it all, and he's like, I don't know, and he tried it out. He tried to break it. He asked super sophisticated questions, and he came back and he was like, wow. Again,
Yeah. Yeah.
accuracy is so key when you have to make these critical decisions that relate to your business. It's
Yeah.
your CFO is asking you, what do I need to do, or what are the results from last quarter's campaign? And so you need to, like, on the spot, pull that up, find the analysis, and present that. And so we've shortened that time frame,
Yeah.
and allowed CMOs to kind of empower them to have that at their fingertips so they can answer hard questions like that.
Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit, because I think these interdependencies are the interesting places where all business breaks, right? So sales says marketing's not giving them leads, and marketing says sales aren't following up on the lead, and the CFO is saying, why are we spending all this money? So how does your tool help a CMO or a person in marketing convey the success and hey, this didn't work, and we're not gonna do that anymore stuff? How does it?
Absolutely. Yeah, so it is. It's you hit the nail on the head. It's connecting those dots. And so
Yeah.
telling that full complete picture. Right now, Fuse today does not have the Salesforce or HubSpot connectors, but we are
Yeah.
rapidly expanding and building into that. And so in the meantime, what you can do is upload that information into Fuse to, again, connect those dots holistically on, we drove this many sales, we drove this much revenue, because If you don't have, so using Google as an example, you do have a way to input that revenue piece back into your Google account, which then
Right.
takes that into account with the algorithm. So if you have it set up, you can absolutely pull that information through our tool today. If you need something more custom or robust with Salesforce or HubSpot, you do have the ability to upload that information. But we are rapidly working to expand our connectors to include that piece, because it is important to connect those dots. That is the holy grail of having that picture.
But even today, you can create reports, right? So if the CFO says, "Why are we spending all this money on Google?" Walk us through what the process would be. The person to go analyze our Google spend.
Analyze. Create a 7-day, week over week or month over month performance across all of our channels, and it will pull up a full report. It will pull up highlighting any trends, any areas that you might want to look at, any anomalies, and it will provide any recommendations based on your stated benchmarks or goals. And then the other, I can't even believe I forgot to mention this, but we've built in custom contextual memories into our product as well. And so that's incredibly important to have that context of, here are my goals, here are my KPIs, here are my benchmarks, here's something special about my business that I need you to remember and incorporate into the analysis. And so that having all of that built in allows you to pull across all of your channels and, again, provide sort of that snapshot of, here's what's going on, here's what I need to do next. So we built the framework is the what, so what, now what approach, where, the what is the data point, the what is, why is this happening, what does this mean for my business, and then the now what is the recommendation piece.
That's
actionable intelligence.
That's interesting. Let's talk about that for a minute, because I think that framework is, if we want to call it that, a habit and how you interact with intelligence or AI, right? So, but to close up the loop, so when you pull that report, you can send that to the CFO in that scenario. So it's just something like, "Hey, here's the real data.
Yes.
Happy to walk you through this." Okay. That's good. So now you've got this transparency in your group. But now let's take the what. What is it? And what next? Did I get that right?
So what is the dashboard, the data points, the kind of how tools are acting today? The so what is what does this mean? So the dashboards today tend to be static, not always up to date. And you need the contextual piece behind, why are these trends happening? What else? We're all human. So I could be the best analyst in the world, but I might just miss something because I'm not in 7 or 8 different platforms, and I might just be a Google expert, but I'm not an expert on Meta. And so having that holistic picture is really important when making those decisions. And then of course the what next, the recommendation piece. Most tools don't have that level of sophistication, because again, we've programmed in all of the algorithms and marketing specific equations to help you figure out, okay, my CAC to LTV ratio is this, my ROAS is this, my CPA, having that pre-programmed or trained, if you will, is far superior than what you'll get if you just go to ChatGPT and ask a basic marketing question. It'll come back with some sort of crazy hallucinations, because they're not, they're known for being bad at math. And so, we've kind of removed that aspect and of course, security, I haven't touched on that yet. Our tool is built, enterprise level security, so that you don't need to worry about, all these LLMs learning off of your data.
Yeah. Well, I really like the what, so what, and what next. And because when I think about in my business history, there's always an expert, right? And they always go ask Margaret, right? Margaret knows what happens or knows what to do next when this happens. But even if you rise up a layer, I think the people that are diagnostics people, right? That they know that this is a signal, this is what I know about it, and either historically we've done this, et cetera. And what you've built is that kind of quick diagnostics capability to say, we're in this situation now, let's try this. But I think that's fascinating, because that really makes somebody that's less experienced or in a new company, maybe they've done it before, but they haven't done it in this company, they're immediately up to speed, so to speak.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think it kind of, yeah, levels the playing field. And
Yeah.
it, from a training aspect, it will assist and help especially newer employees or newer people to the marketing world. It will help assist with that learning and training and understanding. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think is fantastic when you think about solopreneurs and small business, because they're really good at maybe trimming trees or plumbing or whatever, and they just need to grow their business, and they go to take a Google Analytics course and just it all goes out the window. You've made it where they're ready to go. They can learn. And I'm guessing on your what next, can you say, hey, our Google or our Meta ads aren't performing like we thought? Does it make suggestions?
oh,
Does it
it
say,
does. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, it does. It's really incredible. I mean, and we've tested it, before we even launched. We worked with
yeah,
some expert marketers who are in these accounts and platforms day in and day out, and they are true experts, and they were just kind of blown away with that.
yeah,
That's actually, wow, this is like spot on. And
yeah,
but going back to the kind of, you hear the phrase human in the loop, or
yeah,
making
yeah,
sure use that's still an important aspect of
yeah,
the human. The marketer has that expert, they know the full history of the account, and it's an important balance to make sure that yes, this is right based on the information I know and currently have today.
yeah. That's fantastic. I really like this because we've all seen the bad examples of AI. Somebody using AI to write an
Mhm.
email or a
Oh,
post, and we can spot it. And so we know that, but that's not what you're doing. You're actually enabling the business person to have better agency over what they're doing, and I think
that's
that's
exactly
fantastic.
right. Yeah, that's
So
exactly
do you mind if I switch gears and talk a little bit about Jill and being a founder? How's
sure.
that going? 'Cause-
It's great. I mean, I love it. I'm it's I don't it's indescribable, to be honest. I mean, I know you hear it's a roller coaster, and that's absolutely true, but at the end of the day, to build something of value that people use every day is there's it's an incredible it's I don't even have the words to describe it.
Yeah. So,
So
so how do you and your co-founders approach that? Like, we know we want to build something great. So what are some of the things that you guys do to make sure that you're all in rhythm?
yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there is, there's always something we can be doing better. So, I think the first step is just we're curious by nature. So, talking to, like you mentioned, Jessica at the beginning of this podcast, like talking to other founders, understanding how they're approaching certain things is really helpful. So we kind of have that always on, or always looking for improvement mindset. I'm a big efficiency process person, so I'm always looking for ways to improve that. But I think you mentioned also being curious. I think just being curious by nature, asking questions. So the first thing we did after my co-founder and I agreed to, hey, we want to build this. We went out and talked to people. We did over, I guess, almost 200 user interviews, and
Wow.
just listened
Yeah.
to pain points, and kind of verified, yes, this is a pain point. Yes, it makes sense to try and solve for this. So
Yeah.
always, and that never stops. Always keep talking to customers, keep learning, and yeah, and it just
And
gets us on the right path.
that's right. That's great, and that's exciting, and that's why I think I just love the startup world,
Yeah,
because I think we move the needle further. Now, big companies could do it, but they just don't because they get in
it's
their thing,
harder.
and
Yeah,
yeah, so
it is
I think it's
harder. But I
I
think
think yeah,
going back to, like, it's up to leadership to empower their employees to
yeah,
keep that mindset. And that was one thing I will say, Google, even as it became and grew into a huge company. I mean, it's certainly different now than it was back in, when I joined, but they always encouraged that, heard the 20% project. So they allowed employees to focus 20% of their time on exploring and working on things that they're curious about. And I think that's an important culture aspect that companies leadership should help encourage, because that's going to embrace new solutions and new ways of creating efficiencies.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let's talk about you. And you can't say coffee because I know we
Ah,
talked before this and you said coffee. So what is one habit that Jill Randell does on a daily basis or weekly basis? No negotiation. You just do it.
I don't know if this counts as a habit, but I'm doing it right now where I only use my standing desk for all calls and meetings. It
Yeah.
just helps to it just helps from a posture, and if you have lower back pain, sitting all day is not good. So I use my standing desk religiously every single
That's
day,
great.
and
Yeah.
so helpful for me, just from an energy standpoint, from again, physical standpoint. I highly recommend, if you've never tried it. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They're awesome. And have you ever used a treadmill desk?
I have not. We did have them at Google. That's a little
Yeah.
not quite that
Yeah.
coordinated.
Yeah.
I know people who
Yeah.
do, and they swear by that. So
Yeah, I do it. I've got one, and I'll do it to read, but when I'm on a call, it just doesn't feel right. I'm kind of moving or something. But for some, it's great. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. No one's ever said the stand-up desk is, and that it is definitely a habit because you made a choice to do something different, and that's how we build strong habits. And you're thinking about your health. So awesome stuff. Tell us how you can find Fuse if they're looking for that, and then yourself.
Sure. So you can find us. Our website is Fuse, FUSE.is. So come to our website. You can, we do have a place to schedule a demo. So you can schedule a demo with me. You can also ping me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a DM. Would love to set up time. If you mention this podcast, we have a special discount for anybody who signs up with me after this podcast. So would love to walk you through our platform, talk through your needs. Come talk to us. We're here. No, please.
I encourage everybody to do that, because at least take a look at it. You may not need it now, but then it's there when you find these challenges. I would have loved this tool when I was running marketing.
Oh, same.
It's such a lifesaver because I felt like I was guessing on yesterday's data, right? So
that's exactly right. So
so that is so awesome.
I'd love to talk to you. Find me, or my email is Jill@Fuse, FUSE.is. You can send me an email as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jill, for joining us today. It's really interesting. And I love your application because it's taking AI and allowing people to do things differently in a way that's going to just, multiply their capabilities. So it's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Great.
Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Stay in touch. And so nice to see you. Thanks, everybody. Be sure to like and follow us on your favorite podcast channel. And if you want to learn more about Time Bandit and our habit architecture and our priority management, go to timebandit.io. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great day.